All right, guys, told y'all part 3 was coming, and here it is today. Today, I got my buddy DygoKnight.
How's it going, everybody?
So today, like I said, we are back to do the part 3 of What If Kakashi Joined the Akatsuki series. Just a rewrite, so to speak, of how things would be different if Kakashi was in the Akatsuki. If you want to see part 1 and part 2, I will leave a link. If you really want context, you might want to go watch them instead because they provide a lot better insight of how this story is going to go. Because this latter part is going to be a little bit chaotic as far as like what's going to happen with the good guys and the bad guys.
I mean, it's very different from the original, I suppose, because Kakashi is a very important character, and we're changing the story in some pretty big ways. Especially in this one, I think it's going to be very different.
All right, so now, picking up where we left off, which was the end of the Akatsuki suppression arc. Won't go into it too much detail now, but what I will say is that one of the other members of the Akatsuki were dead after the suppression arc, which was Kakuzu. Kakuzu's partner in this timeline was Kisame, and the confrontation with Jiraiya, Naruto, Sakura, Yamato, and the rest of Team Asuma went pretty much the same way, I suppose, except one of the Akatsuki members gets out alive, which again was Kisame. So Kisame's still alive. Everyone goes back to the village to start planning their next move against the Akatsuki.
Asuma's still alive too, which is great, I suppose.
Yeah. So we did say the last one that Hidan was just a non-factor because Kakashi was a new member of the Akatsuki, so there wasn't really much need to recruit another member of the Akatsuki. So, in which case, you know, Asuma still lives. We just said that Kakuzu and Kisame were trying to infiltrate the village somehow, and they found out, and they sent a team after them. So, that's pretty much, you know, the end of that one. So, like, again, going off the Akatsuki suppression arc, we are going to go right into the Itachi pursuit arc. Jiraiya company go back to the village, and instead of Kakashi being, like, the, quote, leader of the Itachi pursuit team, we'll say it's Yamato co-leading the team with Asuma, you know, or something. In which case, the fight between Jiraiya and Itachi and Sasuke and Pain and all that still pretty much kind of stays the same.
And the only thing that would change really is that Kisame isn't Itachi's partner in the Akatsuki, so instead of Kisame stopping Team Heavy from getting, you know, in the middle of the Itachi versus Sasuke fight, it would be Kakashi, but there'd be no reason for them to fight or anything.
Yeah, it'd just be like Kakashi just maybe having a combo with Team Heavy or something like that. So yeah, the fight between Jiraiya and Pain but still stay the same. Jiraiya dies. Naruto goes through his really serious character development arc. And this goes into to do some more training to eventually fight Pain. Aside of Itachi and Sasuke fight, that again still stays the same. Itachi dies. Sasuke learns the truth about Itachi. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is where things will take a turn. Now, we didn't establish this in part 1 or part 2, but Obito does not tell Kakashi the truth about Itachi. Kakashi is completely just oblivious. He does not find out. And we said that because, you know, as unreasonable, as unlikely as that might seem, because, you know, Obito and Kakashi are pretty tight, you know, it is important to keep in mind that Pain didn't even know. Kisame didn't even know the truth about Itachi. As a matter of fact, it is weird. I understand, like, why you would think that we would, you know, not give the truth to Kakashi right off the bat, because Obito was willing to at least tell Pain the quote-unquote true identity of Toby, that he was Madara. And
that was a lie, too, so it's not as though it was being very true.
Yeah. So there is some stuff that he's willing to keep from certain members of the Akatsuki. So I think for the sake of, you know, maybe not causing any trouble or maybe any kind of inner conflict for Kakashi, Obito just kind of like keeps that from him.
Especially because Kakashi was Itachi's partner in the Akatsuki, so Obito wouldn't want Kakashi to know that, oh, I am partnering with a traitor to the Akatsuki, a guy that I cannot trust or anything like that, especially to Obito's goals, because he wanted to make Itachi feel like nobody else knew about it.
Yeah. So honestly, that just provides better, like don't get me wrong, like I get it, you know, but we'll just kind of say that for right now, anyway, Kakashi does not know the truth about Itachi. So Sasuke still goes to try to capture B. We all know how that goes. B still gets away. The Pain arc comes around, and because Kakashi is not in the village anymore helping Naruto, unfortunately, Naruto does not know the Rasen Shuriken still. Like, we kind of took that out. We said that in the last video. But what he does have now, because Jiraiya was training him early on, he does have Sage Mode. So I guess in the training in between the Pain Jiraiya fight and the Naruto fight with Pain, he just kind of furthers his Sage Mode training. if you will. Yeah, that kind of does affect because the Pain fight still happens the same way. Like, Naruto arrives when Pain blows up the village. The Pain fight kind of alters a little bit where Naruto won't be able to take out a couple of the paths like right off the bat, because that's what he did in the original timeline. He took out like, what was it, the human path, and
he took the human path of the Rasen Shuriken because the human path had to save the animal path from it, and then he used the Rasen Shuriken as a distraction to catch the Naraka path from above using the dual Rasengan.
I think at worst he still takes down a couple of the paths, but Naruto will still be captured. And of course, Hinata will follow suit to try to rescue him. And again, following suit, Hinata will be, stomped, like curb stomped and quote killed right in front of Naruto, which would unleash the Six Tails.
Yeah, in the manga, that was actually quick. They extended the scene in the anime, but in here, where Pain didn't have to fight Kakashi in the village, so he has a little bit more chakra, and presumably Naruto wouldn't have taken down all the paths. Hinata would just, get destroyed in 2 seconds. Yeah. Maybe she would actually die in this situation here, not just like, a fake out.
Yeah.
So, it doesn't matter because everybody gets revived in the end of the arc anyway, even if she dies. So.
Yeah, so so Naruto still goes into the Six Tails. Minato still, arrives in Naruto's psyche to reset the seal and whatnot. Naruto would still win against Pain because, at this point, like, let's be honest, it would probably still get, with the 6 tails to the 7 and the 8 and eventually the 9 tails, I don't see any of the paths of Pain except for the Diva path really surviving all that.
Yeah, they get destroyed by it, especially because Tendo had to get close to Nagato's real body in order to use Chibaku Tensei, which was the only thing he had to combat the 9 tails in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
The other 2 paths would just get destroyed in the middle of it. They're not as fast and not as powerful as Tendo.
I would say, like, the 6 tails resisted an almighty push from the Diva path, that point blank. I don't think any of the other paths of Pain had the force necessary to take on the six tails up. So,
yeah. The time, like, Naruto used the Bijudama, and Tendo managed to counter it, throwing that massive rock in it. But, like, the other paths would probably just get exploded regardless.
So, I guess what would be questionable is what would happen after, like, the 9 tails is reset. Which, yeah, sure. The 2 Rasen Shurikens after, the reset did play a part in the defeat of Tendo. But honestly, like, Naruto could probably think of a way to make Pain use Almighty Push the same way and have like the same amount of clones back him up and resist the Almighty Push, and enough time for Naruto to finally throw himself while he's using the Faith for Sengon and just take care of the Diva path.
And to be honest, those 2 Rasen Shurikens, they weren't even that impactful because Pain was able to reset his cooldown regardless, and then Naruto had to use the Shadow Clone Barrage. The Shadow Clone Barrage failed. Mm-hmm. And that's when he was resisting another Shinra Tensei with that blob of shadow clones, and then he eventually tosses one of them to Rasengan Tendo. But there are other ways, especially if you think that this Naruto is more proficient with Sage Mode, because he's been training it for longer. He wouldn't run out of it so soon, especially because he used 2 Rasen Shurikens out of the gate, and then he just ran out immediately in the fight against Tendo in the end. So he will probably have a longer exchange in Sage Mode, so there are other ways for him to defeat Tendo, and he can also use like 1,000 Shadow Clones to do the same thing. Honestly, try and taijutsu him.
Honestly, I would say Frog Kumite might play a huge help in that, honestly.
Yeah,
so... and he wouldn't have to worry about getting close to Tendo necessarily, because aside from Almighty Push, like, he doesn't really, again, Soul Steel Naruto, so I don't, and like I said, it would just be like a really taijutsu coordination, and so with.
Yeah, Sage Mode Naruto was just breaking the Rinnegan rods regardless.
Yeah.
With his skin, like, it wasn't very threatening for him.
Honestly, when I think back on it, side note, I feel like the Rasen Shuriken just played a part in Pain's worry, because he did, like, Pain, like, went out of his way to mention, like, oh, you can only produce 2 of those bothersome Rasen Shurikens at a time during Sage Mode. So it's like, I feel like that was more of a worry for Pain. But in any case, so yeah, the Pain arc still happens the same way. Naruto juices Nagato, and then we go into the Summit arc. Sasuke is a rogue ninja. The Kage Summit still stays the same. There's really no reason for the arc to be any different with Kakashi being the Akatsuki, because Obito doesn't really get involved in the aside from him declaring war and just kind of participating in the as the audience for the Sasuke and Danzo fight. there really isn't any reason for Kakashi himself to get involved.
Yeah, if Obito wasn't that involved, Kakashi would just probably hang around. We thought about maybe Kakashi would go with Kisame to capture B, but this probably wouldn't happen because Kakashi would want to stay close to Obito in this situation.
The B Kisame fight still happens, Kisame still, quote, loses, but stays close to B within Samehara. But now this is where things will get a little bit... This is where the story will take another turn now. So we did say in the for the war to be in a better favor for Obito, Kakashi, and everybody else, because Kabuto still, confronts Obito and Kakashi in order to join them in the fourth war. And that scene doesn't really play... I did think maybe that scene would play a little differently, but honestly, with Kabuto pretty much pulling up Madara to threaten Obito, I don't see a reason why Kakashi would be any different. And yeah, no, like his arsenal might help a little bit, but against, Edo Madara, I don't think they would be able to do much, especially with the other Edo Tensei there. I think they get overwhelmed. Maybe that's a separate conversation for later, but right now, we'll just say that, Kabuto still joins forces with Obito and Kakashi. At this point, though, this is where Obito would go to retrieve the Rinnegan from Kona.
And he would definitely, Kabuto was a problem for them because he was a curveball. So we talked about this. What would probably happen here is that Obito would tell Kakashi to stay close to Kabuto and keep tabs on him to see if he's not, trying to do anything shady to backstab him in the future, which Kabuto was trying to do several times during the war. So having Kakashi close to him, kind of overseeing things, would be a very smart way for Obito to go about it.
Especially if, after Kabuto already told Obito, yeah, there's no way to stop this jutsu unless the caster, releases the jutsu itself, which would probably prompt Obito even more so to be like, yeah, it's probably better that you kind of stay close to Kabuto. Like, don't let him see you, don't let him know that you're doing that. But just stay close to Kabuto in case he tries to pull some stuff. On the good team side, stuff would probably still stay the same. Naruto still trains with B to unlock the KCM1. Naruto still proceeds to fight Itachi and Nagato along with B. Itachi Matsukawa's himself to protect the hidden leaf, quote unquote, and goes to find Kabuto. Yes,
we thought about in this situation here, he would implant the other Rinnegan on Kakashi, and
thinking that would make sense because normal Kakashi, if had a Rinnegan, would probably just die waking up in the morning. But if you watched the previous video, we did say that when Obito saved Kakashi, or brought Kakashi back after he killed Rin to meet Madara or whatever, and they trained their Kamui, their Mangu Sharingan, we did say that Madara would probably think that's better to try to implant the Hashirama cells in Kakashi. And yes, some people survive the implant, some people don't. We are going on the side of, obviously, Kakashi survives. Maybe Kakashi's will to live, or whatever, will to fight, to see the infinite Tsukuyomi plan brought to fruition, helps him survive the implants or whatever. Somehow Kakashi survives, and obviously all his physical attributes are enhanced. He probably has better chakra control, better healing capabilities. His Kamui, his Mangu Sharingan never go bad, this and that, etc., etc. So this would probably help him in some way control the Rinnegan. At the very least, maybe not as well as Obito did, but somewhere near there. Because Obito does state that he did have trouble controlling just one Rinnegan, so it would probably be a little bit worse for Kakashi, but I don't think it'd be too worse, especially again him having Hashirama cells. I guess it's up to discretion, but that's what we're going with. That's the side we're going with. So,
and it sounds cool too. Kakashi and Obito both have a Mangekyo and a Rinnegan, and that's going to be interesting later when they eventually fight.
Yeah. So again, Itachi is still going to pursue Kabuto in order for him to get rid of the Edo Tensei jutsu. Sasuke still encounters Itachi in the forest, and this is where things get a little bit dicey because
Kabuto's he's getting watched over by Kakashi.
Yeah,
with the Rinnegan.
Yeah,
and Hashirama cells, and a Mangekyo Sharingan that doesn't run out of light because of the Hashirama cells, just like Obito's.
Yeah. So this is where as soon as Itachi breaks down the freaking cave, Kakashi's gonna be like, "Whoa, what is going on, y'all?" And then he goes to try to rush to help Kabuto. So it's pretty much going to be a 2-on-2, right? With Kakashi and Kabuto versus Itachi and Sasuke.
And the reasoning for Kakashi wanting to help Kabuto in this situation, even though Kabuto and Obito weren't really, very friendly during the war, is because he would want to keep the Edo Tensei going because that was giving them a lot of advantages during the war itself. So he would figure out, okay, Itachi and Sasuke are probably here to undo the Edo Tensei. There's no other reason for them to be attacking Kabuto here, so let me just go ahead and help him so that we don't lose the war.
This is where things will get tricky, right? Now, it was already, really a close fight, as it was with just, the 1v2. With Kakashi's arsenal there, with the Kamui, Rinnegan, Hashirama cells, I don't know. That'd be even more chaotic fight. But honestly, the trickiest part about this scene isn't so much the fight. It's what happens during the fight. If any of y'all remember, Sasuke and Itachi were kind of hinting or implying something happened with Itachi to Kabuto. Kabuto even verbatim says, did something happen, or do you secretly regret what you did, Itachi?
Because it's weird for Kabuto in his situation because he doesn't know about the entire truth of the Uchiha clan massacre. So when Itachi and Sasuke arrive together to the cave, Kabuto's like, oh, so you're gonna help me out, right, Sasuke? Take care of your evil brother again? Yeah. Brought back to life. And then Sasuke was just like, no. But they never expressly tell Kabuto what happened. So Kabuto, he never learns during that fight that, oh, okay, so Itachi was a spy for Leaf Village the entire time and all that kind of stuff because he wasn't even that interested in it. He wanted to reseal Itachi back into the Edo Tensei control and get Sasuke's body. He didn't care about all the backstory of Itachi and Sasuke. The audience knew about it, but Kabuto certainly didn't.
Yeah. So with Kakashi being there, and with Itachi being, Itachi, I think there's a good chance, honestly, and this is what we're going with. Good chance or not, this is what we're going with. Itachi at this point would probably start to tell Kakashi, hey, you're being manipulated by this guy. Granted, Itachi wouldn't know, the identity of Obito. He still thought this was Madara. But at this point, I think this is where, because Kakashi was a former Leaf Ninja and also a part, sort of a part of the Uchiha clan with the Sharingan or whatever, he probably would feel the need or some reason to at least, heavily imply, if not directly just flat out state that, yeah, I was a spy for the Leaf Village. I killed my clan because all this happened. At some point, Kakashi, this is where Kakashi would learn the truth. And this changes things on a couple of different reasons. One, obviously, it's a big truth, right? It's a big truth for the history of the village, what it entailed. But it also lends a lot more detriment to Kakashi and Obito's trust. Because Kakashi would then be like, why did Obito keep this from me? Why am I just now learning about this huge news about the Uchiha clan and the village in general? So, this is where things would probably get a little bit dicey for Obito and Kakashi's trust. But obviously, they're in the middle of the fight, so Kakashi can't really lament on it at the moment.
They still keep fighting, and an interesting fight, to say the least.
Yeah. Now, this is we get a little bit tricky. Now, obviously, we're not going to get into too much semantics about how it gets done, but at some point, Itachi would still choose to try to Izanami. I mean, he has to try to Izanami Kabuto, right? But with Kakashi there backing him up, it won't be as easy. So I think what would probably happen is, somehow they because let's be honest, with Kakashi's battlefield remover move, he's probably a little bit more of a detriment to them with Kabuto in supporting them. So I think the best chance is probably to get Kakashi and Izanami first. Itachi being, reanimation, he probably doesn't really care. He doesn't really care too much about both of his eyes being lost. As long as they win the fight, that's really all that matters. We are going on the side that somehow Itachi is going to put both Kabuto and Kakashi in Izanami. And so even with Itachi not having his Mangu Sharingan, with persuasion from Itachi, I'm sure Sasuke will still be able to put Kabuto in the Genjutsu powerful enough to tell him the signs to weave to undo the Edo Tensei. So things would still play out the same, but now Kakashi is in Izanami this time too. Obviously this means that eventually Kakashi will, be put on the good guy's side again.
He'll get character development off screen, just like Kabuto.
Yeah, but instead of Kabuto though, because Kabuto took forever to break out because he was just constantly denying himself. But with Kakashi kind of having a similar personality, just in general to Itachi, with some extra persuasion from Itachi, like assuming that they have a conversation mid-battle, like Itachi and Kabuto did. Honestly, when you look back at it, Kakashi and Itachi kind of have a similar way of looking at things anyway. So I feel like with some added persuasion from Itachi, some like talk no jutsu from Itachi, plus Izanami, that there's a really good chance that Kakashi will break out of Izanami way earlier than Kabuto did.
Yeah, especially because, you can only break out of Izanami once you get rid of those character flaws that you have when you understand the real path. And Kakashi, especially after having the pep talk from Itachi and finding out the truth that Obito was manipulating him all along, then he would probably be able to break out of Izanami faster than Kabuto did, because Kabuto was, a much more, I'd say, blind follower of Orochimaru from the beginning. Like, he never really knew anything else. Mm-hmm. So it would be much easier for Kakashi after learning the truth of Itachi to break out. And to be honest, Kabuto took it was night already when he got Izanami, and he broke out during the same night. So it took him like at most 8 hours. We don't know exactly how long, but at most 8 hours or so.
Yeah,
because he comes back when Sasuke and Naruto were dying from Madara.
Which is a good bit. During the war. A lot happened between then. So
yeah, a lot happened, but in universe, it's not that long.
Yeah,
let's be real. But if Kakashi has that pep talk, that talk no jutsu from Itachi, then he probably breaks out sooner. And we kind of, for also narrative purposes, we decided that Kakashi would break out and head to the battlefield about the same time as the Edo Hokage are heading to the battlefield, so that they would all arrive at the same time, and then Kakashi would have this encounter with Minato after all that time, after them attacking the Leaf Village, because Kakashi and Obito attacked the Leaf Village in this timeline.
Yeah, so
with Nine Tails.
So, to talk about the other side of the fight, this is where we had to tweak a little bit, because obviously Kakashi is not in Naruto's company at this point. But if you look back at it, there wasn't much severe damage that they did to Obito. So what we thought in place of Kakashi was that Lee would probably just follow with Guy to help back up Naruto against Obito. Which wouldn't be bad backup at all. Yes, they lose the other side of Kamui to combat Obito, but like I said, they only landed a couple of decent hits on Obito.
Yeah, he got hurt by Naruto's Rasengan once, destroying his sleeve, but the arm healed up because of Hashirama cells. Mm-hmm. And then he got cut in the mask by that kunai. And then the only time Naruto had a chance to actually do some real damage when he was inside of Kamui and he had a straight shot on Naruto, he chose to aim for the mask to unmask Obito instead of trying to kill him or something. Mm-hmm. So Obito was fine, pretty much. He was just really badly hurt once he fought Kakashi in the Kamui dimension.
Yeah. So
So yeah,
maybe at best, Obito doesn't get unmasked or something like that. But I still don't see if the combination and teamwork was so strong that Obito still couldn't get Naruto pulled into Kamui. I would probably say that with Lee being there, it'd probably still say the same. They may not be able to damage Obito necessarily, but I don't think, conversely, I don't think that Obito would be able to pull in Naruto into Kamui. At least not enough time where the rest of the Alliance show up, because it wasn't too long after Obito was unmasked that the rest of the Alliance showed up. So
the problem is when Madara shows up with Obito. But Obito had already started the Edo Tensei ritual regardless, so Madara didn't even want to capture the 98 Tails.
Yeah.
It was just let's fight them, let's wait for the 10 Tails to return, then we'll figure things out later because you screwed up Obito.
So pretty much where we're going to leave off at is Sasuke has this conversation with the Hokage, decides to protect, quote-unquote, the Hidden Leaf Village, and starts heading to the battlefield. Naruto and company are still fighting Obito, and now Kakashi has broken out of Izanami and is deciding to head to the battlefield. Although his viewpoint is going to be a little bit different from everybody else's, because his first thought is going to be to rectify things with Obito, in a little bit different way than it was in the main series. Like, yes, obviously Kakashi was going to want to save Obito and whatnot, figure out why he decided to defect from the Elite Village or to betray the Elite Village and join Madara. But at this point, Kakashi might be having some underlying feelings of pissed offness towards Obito for not telling the truth about Itachi, for one thing, and then he might try to, like, you know, also persuade Obito to lament and to join the good guys team, similar to how Itachi did to Kakashi. So that's pretty much where everyone's headed towards, and in the fourth part of what if Kakashi joined the Akatsuki. But at this point, things are going to be a little bit different, because it's going to be the same War Arc Kakashi with Hashirama cells and a Rinnegan and Kamui. So yeah, this is, and like Daigo said earlier, this will be like where Kakashi finally reunites with Minato after all this time, and so the gang is back together, you know, in a slightly different way than before.
Except for Rin.
Except for Rin, yeah. I mean, you know, it is, but yeah. But yeah, so that's where we're gonna leave off of part 3. I know that the beginning of it was kind of still the same with some minor tweaks in it, and that the bigger, you know, plot twist was near the end of it. But this is where things are gonna get really, really crazy in part 4, because a lot of crazier things are gonna happen. So, yeah, that's gonna be it for part 3. Daigo, thank you so much for being on this the other part for me.
Thanks for having me, and make sure everybody watches the first 2 parts, because they're also interesting.
Yes, be sure to do so. Again, I will leave a link for those in the description below. But please make sure you check those out before you watch this one. I really hope you did just blindly watch this one. If you did, you know, just go ahead and watch the part 1 and part 2 just for the watch, you know. But yeah, if you haven't subscribed to Daigo's channel yet, please be sure to do so. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. Leave a like and comment below what you guys think. Until the next one, though, LightningSnow